Hello, everyone. We are here on the field at Huntington Bank Stadium, home of Minnesota, where Penn State just came away with a 26-25 nail-biter win. It's the third time Penn State has come back from behind on the road in Big Ten play this season. So obviously, a big win, but, kind of an underperformance in terms of expectations. There are a lot of storylines to go through in this one. I think the best way to tackle it is just kind of working through the game chronologically, if that's okay with you. So
yeah, it works for me.
Yeah. So I guess we can start off with the first quarter here, and kind of the way it got going for Penn State, which was pretty ugly. The offense had its first two drives ended up in a 4th and 1 situation, chose not to go for either of them near midfield, and instead punted. So obviously they came up with no points, whereas Minnesota goes down the field on its first drive and scores a touchdown. So Penn State falls into an early hole. Lyle, what did you see from Penn State early?
First quarter, just bad play on both sides of the ball. Offense was not executing. Drew couldn't. He was hitting the guys. They just couldn't get first downs. Run game was non-existent. I believe overall in the first half they only had 10 total yards. Tyler Warren gets stuffed on his running attempts, which you never see, but that you saw it there. The tackling on the defensive side of the ball was atrocious. Guys were shedding right off the Penn State defenders left and right. Former Penn State wide receiver Christian Driver just made a mean Van over look like he didn't even try, just bounced right off him. So that was just bad. But then once you got those first two drives out, obviously Penn State didn't score on its first offensive possession for the first time since the Wisconsin game. So that's something they talked about, starting fast. They've done it last game against Purdue, scored 2 touchdowns on their first 2 possessions. Washington, they scored 4 straight touchdowns on their first 4 possessions. Talked about starting fast was a big point of emphasis in the beginning of the season. They picked it up, but didn't really see it out there tonight, and it kind of hurt them in the beginning. But moving on, once the play offensively and defensively picked up, you saw the special teams absolutely fall apart. Blocked punt by Riley Thompson. Minnesota scored right after that on a trick play. Extra point by Ryan Barker was blocked at the end of the first half when Penn State had an opportunity to tie it up 17-17. No, 97 yards.
I'll take the blame for that one. I jinxed it by tweeting that it was a 17-17 game right before the kick got blocked. So a little old take exposed there. Obviously a key special teams play that went against Penn State there. I felt like there was a point during this game, I think, late third, early fourth quarter, where I thought Penn State was going to lose. And if you go back to...
I could have told you. I didn't think it was going to go their way at all.
If you go back to, the Bowling Green game, say, I was never worried, or never in my mind did I think, Penn State's going to lose this game. And even the USC game, when Penn State, at one point, I think, trailed by 14, in the back of my mind, I still thought, I think Penn State comes back from this one. You know what I mean? And all these games that they've trailed, but this was the first time, I think, all season where I just thought, they're going to lose this game.
I feel like that's always, the silver lining, though, with this team is that they've proved that they can come back, doing it 3 times. But I was talking about it in the press box with you guys, but I was just it was different. I saw on both sides of the ball them performing the other games when they had needed to come back that they did it, they got it done. And I just didn't think it was going to happen. Honestly, confidence was down. There was no executing. Because we've talked about, obviously, Tom Allen and Nico Nicky making these halftime adjustments hasn't really affected them, but there was just some decision-making in the first half that I really didn't think they were going to pull this one out.
Yeah, there was just a lot of sloppy play, especially early on in the game. And then, like you mentioned, there were some special teams blunders there. Even in the second quarter, a bunch of guys started going down with injury, which kind of hurt Penn State. Anthony Donko was the first one to go down there, and then kind of started a string of guys who all went out. Tyrese Mills, who's had a promising career and has kind of come on recently in the last few games. He goes down, and then I think it was the next play, Alonzo Ford also goes down, leaves the game. A couple other guys, Venga left for one play, I think, and came right back in, but obviously you never want to see him leave at all. Denied Dennis Sutton left, did come back in. But just across the board, there were these injuries piling up for Penn State, and at that point you kind of have to think with everything that was going wrong that maybe Penn State wasn't going to be able to pull the rabbit out of its hat this time and escape with another win, but they did. Credit where credit's due, especially with some of those adjustments and kind of how they turned things around in the second half. I thought they started really slow in the run game. Nick Singleton had a pretty bad first half. Kaytron Allen didn't even play in the first half. We still don't really know what that was about, but he did make an appearance in the second half. He went through warm-ups and everything like that, but just didn't touch the ball in the first half for whatever reason. Came out, hopped on the bike out of halftime, and then got the first touch of the third quarter, an 8-yard run. He ended up with not a great stat line. I think he finished with like 10 carries for 15 yards or something like that. But
Nick was the better back today.
Oh yeah, Nick was better.
Offensively, I mean, they found the rhythm, I guess. Omari Evans had that 45-yard touchdown in the first half. That was his highest receiving total for a single game since Kent State, when he had 116. So, and you saw Harrison Wallace got a few catches today. I don't think another wide receiver caught the ball. Yeah, so it was the Tyler Warren show. Yeah. Lots of catches, lots of yards. He had that, obviously, 4th and 1 late in the game when Penn State tried to seal it. Drew Allar rolled right, cross-body throw. Tyler Warren on the other side of the field hit him. Tyler Warren fell down. They didn't need to call another snap. Ball game was over at that point. But I think if you look at this game, I think the turning point was forcing turnovers on the defensive side of the ball. Yeah. James talked about throughout this week how it was a point of emphasis that they needed to win the turnover battle, force more turnovers if this team wanted to pick it up and to find another gear, and they did just that. Dom DeLuca, it was funny because in the press box I was talking about, I feel like we've seen more Dom DeLuca than Tony Rojas today, and on cue, Dom DeLuca had that big interception. He returned it for 28 yards, set up a Ryan Barker field goal. You know, if Ryan Barker doesn't hit that field goal, you don't know if they win that game. And then Zachy Wheatley, it was kind of a botched toss, I would say, by Minnesota.
Yeah.
But turnover king, he's either won it 2 or 3 times during the summer, pounced on that football. He's been making plays in the turnover game that matter throughout this whole season, did it again. And they got points off those turnovers, especially it was helpful when Minnesota is getting 9 points based off special team issues by Penn State. So, yeah, look at that too.
Yeah, Dom looked good on that return. I got to talk to him after the game a little bit. He said he used to play running back in high school, so it was kind of a throwback to those days. But that's where the moves came from, if anyone was wondering. And that really did set Penn State up because they stalled out as soon as the offense got on the field. So those return yards made it a more manageable field goal there. And, you know, maybe if he doesn't have such a good return, they aren't able to cash in with 3 points. And you know, we could be looking at a completely different result here. But regardless, Penn State kind of turns it on down the stretch, gets some things going offensively. In that third and into the fourth quarter, Drew Allar finished with a really good stat line today. I think 21 for 28. Very efficient. You know, maybe not any huge plays apart from the bomb to Omari Evans, but other than that, you know, there's a lot of kind of checkdowns, hit Nick Singleton a lot. You know, some shorter stuff to Tyler Warren. But, you know, he did enough to get the win. You know, protected the ball. Obviously, no turnovers for Penn State today, and that played a key role, winning the turnover battle 2-0. But obviously, the special teams mishaps kind of handicapped them, and almost in a way, James Franklin said after the game that in his mind it kind of canceled out the turnover battle because, you know, they also kind of gave up some free points there to Minnesota regardless. But, you know, statistically, overall, I think Penn State was the better team, outgaining Minnesota.
Statistically, yes.
Statistically. You could, yeah, there were a lot of areas where Penn State was not the better team.
But this is where you go back to the whole, like, it's hard to win in college football. And you best believe Penn State's going to get some slack for their performance nationally in this game. And you can justify that. I can justify it. But you've seen...
Yeah, I'm sure Paul Feinbaum's going to have a field day with this result. He's going to say Penn State should be dropped out of the playoff rankings.
It's just like... But, you know, they got the win. 1-0, they talk about it. James, other coaches, players, whoever. You win. This is obviously... We knew that going into this game it was going to be a test. I didn't think it was going to come down to, you know, late game heroics on a special teams run by Luke Reynolds on a fake punt, but it did. But nothing is better than adversity, and obviously they want to win no matter what, solidify themselves in the college football playoff. I think they're going to win against Maryland next week, but I thought they would have won more comfortably today. But, you know, a win is a win. It's college football. It's hard, and they did it today.
Yeah. You know, first time James Franklin has ever had an undefeated road slate, which I think is a little bit notable. Penn State, you know, taking care of business in some hostile environments. Like we mentioned, they've had to come from behind a few times, but they advanced to 10-1. 1 game left against Maryland next Saturday. We'll be back with you guys after the game with our thoughts on that one from Beaver Stadium. But we're getting cold, so we're gonna cut this video off here. If you enjoyed it, please consider liking and subscribing to help us out, and we'll see you guys next week.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.